Alright everybody, and welcome back to Problem Solver Politics, and today we're talking about something kind of interesting. So last night, obviously, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably are aware now that there was massive demonstrations, not only in Minneapolis, but also in Los Angeles. We can get into the arguments of were they riots, protests, demonstrations, what were they? Honestly, I think it was probably a bunch of different people doing a bunch of different things, and we had what we had. However, there's one specific thing I want to kind of keep an eye on, because one thing that definitely happens in these events a lot is there is particular little moments or things that happen, and I want to kind of just highlight how in the chaos, doing what I'm doing, or sitting in your armchair hundreds of miles away trying to suss out what happened is really tough. I just want to get into why. Some stuff that goes on. One thing in specific that makes a lot of these events really difficult for even the media people, even people on the ground. They're not everywhere. You don't see everything. So here's some photos by a Carlos Gonzalez. I believe he does photos for one of the local publications, I think the Tribune out there in Minneapolis area. And he took some photos. Here are some photos of the AutoZone fire last night. Now, I believe the amount of structures that have been burned to the ground now this morning are totaling closer to a dozen than not. But the AutoZone fire, as you can see, a lot of people were there to photograph it, and it was definitely something that kind of took off. I think the bigger thing was AutoZone was one of the earlier buildings to catch on fire. A lot of the buildings that caught on fire later in the evening, and a lot of the later fires really were when... I mean, we were watching this happen on the stream last night. I kind of said you're going to notice the tipping point when enough people are on social media. I mean, this is my only point I'm going to make on this. I think what happens a lot of times ending like this is you have a lot of people out there for different reasons. And I think the biggest thing that happens, I'm not going to blame the media for it, but if you're sitting at home and you are kind of upset about what happened, but you're still sitting at home, you weren't going to go protest. You are mad, but you're not a protest kind of person. But then you find out that the news and social media is basically telling you there's no laws here. It's basically the purge here. It's going to attract a certain type of people that aren't maybe people that necessarily weren't going to get motivated. And you can see, you watch the streams, you watch the videos, there's people actually standing in front of police, hands up, don't shoot, no justice, no peace, I can't breathe. And then there's people masked up, running their TV back to their car to get the hell out of Dodge, right? Like, I don't think they're the protesters. I think they were the people that just came to loot, burn, and leave. Unfortunately, that's kind of who gets wrapped up into the locals, people that were actually there protesting for a reason. I mean, that's actually kind of heartbreaking. I was watching a stream last night, and I could actually hear somebody who was one of the demonstrators originally, and there's just some more footage of the fire going on at the AutoZone, just to kind of highlight again what was going on there. But now we'll get into, I just want to highlight one thing. I was watching people, they're like activists, people who were trying to get the protest going, saying like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is not about the thing anymore. What we're doing right now is getting out of hand. So opinions all over the place. However, I want to get into how the AutoZone fire started, because this video has been getting spread around a little bit this morning and last night. I have to admit, I haven't done a full 15-hour deep dive on this, but I have been looking around a little bit trying to get some additional info on that. Please let me know in comments if there is anything that's came out since. However, I want to run this video. This is allegedly the individual who actually started that fire at the AutoZone. I'm just going to run this clip really quick. The audio is a bit swearing and profanity. I'm got to take my word off the link in it. They don't say anything important. I just wanted you to keep your mind on this. This individual right here is being chased, and people are trying to figure out why was he in the AutoZone. You'll notice, by the way, when I was showing you the flames burning the AutoZone, you'll notice it wasn't, the sun's up in this video. I mean, this was the kickoff. This was kind of when things are getting started. This was probably the bad actors showing up to take advantage. But I want to highlight something, is you'll notice this guy, first of all black in a gas mask with an umbrella. He stands out from the other. Doesn't look like some guy who just happens to live in the area who rolled out, right? You can see he's trying to stop people from video recording him. Shout out to the pink shirt guy with the pizza, by the way. He never drops the pizza. But again, you'll see he's trying to get to the bottom. Who was this guy? A lot of people were concerned. Why did some random guy in all black, like not like military fatigues, but like out here looking like something up to no good, with a gas mask, with an umbrella out here, allegedly, I have to admit, I've not seen the footage or a video of him starting the fire, but alleged that this is the guy who was responsible for it in this video, and it's getting passed around right now. So whether he did it or not, who is this guy? I mean, his appearance just stands out, right? Like you can see, like, there's another video, but like same video, just another person posting it, but like seriously, does that look like any of the other demonstrators we'd seen out there? I'll go through some more photos and videos. I was up till probably close to 2 a.m. last night watching this, and no. And especially, again, when things started to get bad, of course, right, was like when the sun went down. That was when it was dark out, when it was impossible for police and fire to really do anything anymore. And I want to show you guys something too. I mean, there was a lot of fires last night. This is footage from, again, I believe Libor Jani. I probably butchered the name. I apologize. I believe, again, local reporter there for the Tribune. And you could see, I mean, this is the aftermath of what went on. And I believe this parking lot with the Wendy's and the Aldi, I believe the AutoZone that we'd seen was in this area as well. It was kind of like a big, almost like half circle. Not half circle, but it was a big strip mall where a bunch of buildings got looted and burned. However, you'll notice, like, you look at the aftermath, but yes, this had to start somewhere, right? Someone had to start this. I don't think God just started casting lightning bolts down at these places. So if we do find out somehow that the person was responsible for starting the AutoZone fire, which did end up being one of the bigger things, was this guy, we do have to ask, who is this guy? Right? Like, seriously, what's going on here? And I don't know. I've been trying to get to the bottom of it. Now, there's a couple. I'm going to go through a couple of explanations I've heard, and we'll run through them and see what we find. So, first one I see getting passed around a lot is that he's a cop. Now, if he is an undercover cop, I mean, unless someone got a picture of it, you're never really. If his job is to be incognito, he's probably doing a good job of it. However, is that something people do? Is that what cops do? Well, yeah, actually, sort of. Now, I'm going to grab the first source I'm grabbing is a little bit older, and it's from Canada. So keep that in mind, and then I'm going to grab a slightly newer source from America. But this goes back a little over 13 years now. We're going back to 2007. However, if you ever walk into a police station, you'll find out 2007 probably isn't that long ago to these people. Every police station I've ever been in looks like it's from 1965. So the Quebec police admit that they went undercover at the Montebello protest. So Quebec provincial police admitted Thursday that 3 of their officers disguised themselves as demonstrators during the protest. This isn't really that abnormal. It's a good way to just be in the crowd to hear what they're saying and talking about without drawing a lot of attention. However, the police force denied allegations undercover officers there on Monday to provoke the crowd and instigate violence. At no time did the police of the Quebec act as instigators or criminal acts. The police force said in a French news release, it is not in the police force's policies nor in its strategies to act in that manner. However, they have the photo here. There's a photo, and they'll mention the story here, was that protest organizers on Wednesday played the video for the media at a news conference in Ottawa. One of the organizers, union leader David Coles, explained that one reason protesters knew the men's true identities was because they were wearing the same boots as other police officers. The reason why the video became big is because in the video, protest organizers in suits ordered the men to put the rock down, call them police instigators, and try unsuccessfully to unmask them. And I believe later they could be seen wearing the same boots as the military. Again, point being that this is something that's happened before, and I'm not going to grab every instance of it ever happening, but this was very interesting happening in St. Louis just a couple years ago. Now, this is a very long article. I'm not going to go the whole thing. It's kind of a very comprehensive thing on the protest, why they started. But what I'm more focused on, because what do you know? The reason why there was a protest in St. Louis, another bad shoot by the police. What do you know, right? But what's interesting here is we actually had an undercover police officer. And I think they get down here. Here we go. So a 22-year police veteran identified only as LH was also part of the team being the civil disobedience team, which is kind of their riot response. Not riot, but their street response teams or whatever. I'm not in the police force. Anyway. He was working undercover, the indictment said. The indictment accused Boone, Hayes, and Myers, 3 other officers, of throwing LH to the ground and kicking and striking the undercover officer using a police baton. They didn't know at the time that the person was an undercover officer, according to the indictment. Boone, Hayes, and Myers conspired to then obstruct justice by trying to prevent information about the attack from reaching federal authorities. The indictment said Myers was accused of destroying LH's cell phone as part of the obstruction. Isn't that crazy? Grab an undercover cop who's doing God knows what there. They'll always say, and I have to admit, just from like if you're just looking at it reasonably, it probably would make sense to have undercover people there. However, not acting as agitators. It'd be nice to have undercover people there just so if the crowd's saying, hey, let's go to this area, they could just let people know that's where the crowd's going. Fortunately, I wonder why. I wonder why this guy was thrown to the ground and beaten. Seriously, he's an undercover cop. Why would cops grab an undercover cop? By the way, it works in the same team as them. This isn't like one of those things where it's like you see in movies where the FBI arrests the undercover DEA agent and the DEA agent. They're like, hey, we're on the same team, right? No, this was different. I mean, this was seriously like they were allegedly working together. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the whole story. It's not about that. But again, it just brings us back to that same question of who the hell is this guy? Why was he there? Again, he was there pretty early in the day, and he was at, because to get into the kind of, when I try to, again, I'm not a protester myself, but you can kind of tell that like there's different groups operating on different motivations here. When this guy was here allegedly starting a fire at the AutoZone that did end up burning throughout the remainder of the night, there's the Wendy's you could see in that did actually end up burning to the ground. It's this brick building you could see in the back right here, right? But what's fascinating is around this time, anyone who was kind of watching these demonstrations unfold yesterday, a lot of the people demonstrating were at the police precinct that's not too far from here. Which makes sense. If you're legitimately upset at the police, you're probably going to go to where the police are to show them you're upset, which, by the way, is what a lot of protesters were doing. You saw a line of police all night standing in front of the precinct, which makes sense. It doesn't make so much sense. Like, you'll even see people were just kind of milling about here. I believe that's the target in the distance that was burning all night. Because, again, someone has to start this stuff. It doesn't just fall from the sky on top of us. And I'm going to get to one other plausible explanation. I know a lot of people probably won't like it, but hey, it's people are saying. So, Mr. Controversial himself, all I know is there's certain people, when something happens, I'm always like, well, can't wait to see what their angle on this is. So, Andy Ngo, for those of you who don't know, is a journalist who likes to cover specifically Antifa. It's like his pet project. Anyway, though, he alleges, and we have video here, of people dressed somewhat similarly. I would say the all black's about the only thing. They don't have the umbrella or the gas mask, which is really odd, that he alleges were Antifa types smashing windows. So, it's one of the, unfortunately, guys, I wish I can give you like the definitive answer. I wish he was, as far as, I'll see if I can do some more looking. I wish they had unmasked this individual, because I am curious why he was here. And then also, you can see him, he starts getting a little bit testy, a little bit handsy with the people around him, asking probably, and you can hear in the video, it's more just, just kind of shouting, but I have to imagine it was kind of some conversation before the rolling started of, what are you doing here? Why are you here? What's going on? And you can see he just basically insults the cameraman and gets away. Not saying try to kill the guy, but you know what I mean. He was physical with him and just tried to leave away, just tried to get out of there. And I mean, I wasn't there, obviously. I don't live in Minneapolis. I don't do wardrobe, but just looking around, watching all night, you could see there was people who looked like they legitimately walked out their front door and got involved in what was going on. And you can tell. But then there's the people that look like they were kind of, nobody else realistically at this time, as far as I was out in the streets like this. I mean, dude is ready. I mean, you literally, good luck identifying him, right? All black, umbrella with a gas mask. I heard a lot of people did mention the other thing, too. He could have been a protester inspired by the Hong Kong protesters, because the Hong Kong protesters would generally use umbrellas for many reasons. Tactically, they were just good for putting in front of you to kind of deflect and get rid of, projectile sprays and stuff like that. But they're also good for covering your identity. They're also good for showing solidarity, you could say, but they're also really good for seeing sides, who's on whose side. So it is weirder. I've seen some people use that as evidence for why they think it definitely was a cop. Had to be like, only a cop would look what they do in Hong Kong and do it here. But I really don't know, man. Again, like I said, I wish I could say, here's the guy, we got him, this is who it is, this is what happened. I mean, I can't even prove he had started the fire there, but a lot of people are alleging it. I've heard nobody saying that's not true. If there's no actual video evidence or photos pointing otherwise. So if we're going to operate under the understanding that this guy was the one who did it, he was the one that kind of started the pop off. Because again, the fires were all across the city. If you look into what happened, probably tonight we'll talk more about what happened, but there was a lot of stuff going on in Minneapolis last night. It wasn't centered here. However, the epicenter did seem to be the parking lot with the Target and the AutoZone, the Wendy's, the Aldi. I believe there was another grocer, and then there was a nearby affordable housing, which was almost all burned to the ground. That's kind of what you could see in the video here. So I wonder, is it, at the very least, is it not worth getting to the bottom of what exactly happened there? Because, I mean, like I said, during the events like this, I saw on a live stream last night 2 guys throw a propane tank into the burning affordable housing, and it blew up. I think I saw like literally 3 or 4 explosions last night, mostly just throwing things that are, highly flammable into the fires. But there's a lot of stuff that happens, and when stuff goes off like this, that most of the time really went forgotten. Now with social media, I have to say, watching what happened last night compared to watching some previous demonstrations, you can really see how social media is taking off and stuff. It used to be, for example, there was a woman in a wheelchair with a knife stabbing people allegedly. I don't even know what. There's probably 15 videos of her online, and you can watch the whole thing. There's videos of her walking around in her wheelchair. There's videos of her showing up in the wheelchair. There's a video of the original conflict. There's videos of subsequent conflicts. There's videos of her leaving the scene. There's videos of her after she left the scene explaining. I mean, we really have got kind of people documenting on the street everything going on. So hopefully we do get to the bottom of what's going on. Hopefully, if we do find out that for some reason Minneapolis police were burning down the city they were ordered not to protect, that someone was held accountable, or whoever was, because obviously some people started showing up just trying to get things out of hand in the morning, and when the sun was still up, and then left. They just waited, and it's one of those things. Police are never going to come out and say, "Yep, that's what we do." We send undercover agitators to make things look really bad, and then we do that for no one's going to come out and say that. But at the same time, we do have a lot of questions. When the dust, the dust settles and the sun comes up in the morning, a lot of times people are going to start asking, wait a minute, who actually was that? What were they actually doing? Right? Like, why was he there? But does he live here? But the only problem is there's so many of these small events all over a city over the night like this. Like, dude, there was a shooting at a pawn shop where I think 2 people were killed. I mean, gotta get to the bottom of that one, right? But there's so much stuff going off. So I just wanted to, for a second, kind of highlight one specific thing that happened last night. This alleged, what's the word I'm looking for here? Agitator, who was not part of the original demonstrations, who showed up. Here he is again with the umbrella and the gas mask to start things going off at the AutoZone. Again, whether it's true or not, whether they're black bloc on Antifa types, whether they're undercover police, whether they're just out of town white nationalists, I've heard every explanation. Who knows? But ultimately, I really do hope we get to the bottom a little bit of who was, because I don't know, maybe I'm being ignorant here, but I just know I saw people literally demonstrating and protesting, and then I saw people who probably looked like they couldn't care less, who were stealing and trying to get out of Dodge before the sun came up and people had to start paying for stuff. You know what I mean? Like there definitely seem to be multiple competing interests here, and it's one of the things that bothers me is a lot of people like to kind of just paint everyone with one brush and say, look, everyone out there is a looter and a looter and a criminal. It's like, no, dude, you could see the people just milling about, largely doing nothing, yelling at police and throwing stuff at them because they're mad at the police. You could see them. They're out there. They're also separate from the people that might be this guy, by the way, who have nothing to do with this, burning buildings down and robbing stuff. Like, I don't know. I see people on both sides trying to equivalate both and say, no, the person breaking into the safe at the Target pharmacy clearly was protesting against injustices. Like, really, man? Why aren't they where everyone else who's doing it are? Right? Like, I don't see how running out of a store with 50 cartons of cigarettes is protest. Like, it's okay to call out some people as being opportunists, while still saying the reason why the majority of people are out there is because they're angry. I just think it's weird to say, nope, one or the other. They're either all criminals or they're all noble protesters. Like, no, man, some of these people are this guy. All black, gas mask and an umbrella with the sun still up, screwing around in AutoZone. I don't think he's there because he actually cares that much about what happened. Okay? The people who did, you generally can tell on how they carry themselves and what they're saying because they're there for a reason. So anyway, well, a few minutes longer than I wanted to on that one. But that's it for today, guys. Actually, no, not it for today, guys. Posting another video after this. It'll be streaming later tonight. So please let me know in the comments what you think about this. If you guys have heard anything else I haven't heard about this individual, any other accounts of alleged undercover cops, agitators, anyone doing stuff like that, please let me know in the comments. And as always, please, if you disagree with anything I said, remember to dislike and tell me exactly why in the comments. Anyway, have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you again in a little bit.